Hey Nerfers, I'm Addy Thomas.
Hey, I'm Ben Milton.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Certain Point of View. Each time we record, we're progressively getting more and more slouched. You can't see us. But there was a day when we used to be at a sophisticated conference room table.
We had props, we had a background, we had lights.
Right.
We were live streaming.
Exactly. We had rolly chairs.
Yes.
That were $50 each. They weren't like the high-end chairs, but
they were comfy.
Yeah, and then we've gone to a more portable setup. Sometimes like we're in Case's basement. Sometimes we've been in Ben's basement or in his living room. And now with like this reconstruction of Ben's basement, like now we're just like completely just like lounged out.
I am literally laying down right now.
There's a good chance at some point in the career of this podcast, we won't get out of our own beds. Like, we'll remote to each other. Like, we won't even have, like, ever fully taken the covers off. We'll have, like, mics just that we can grab from
the heads, so just turn on our phones, just be like, all right, let's record.
We got this.
Let's go. Hey, Nerfers.
Although, at some point, you'll hear me just start snoring at.
Yes, like we're running a dungeon in WoW.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter how interesting it is, guys. Sorry, I just fall asleep.
No, I get it.
So
it's funny because we went to Razor Friend Downs last night.
Yeah,
and I couldn't stop thinking about you as we were running through it. Right? I was like, "This is where Addy fell off."
Going up that little mountain.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. That's how I'll always remember it too.
Yeah, that's where Addy fell off.
I fell asleep and ran off a mountain in game, and I survived. And I ran back and almost got back.
Almost made it until I was like, "Wait, did you just run off the mountain?"
Yeah,
so good.
Good times.
Yep.
Good times. Anyway, so with that aside, you can listen to all of our other podcasts on our website, certainpov.com. We've got a bunch of shows you can check out. We've got Fun and Games with Matt and Jeff. We've got Reignite with Matt, but also with MJ Bradley Lestrange. And then we've also got Case Aiken's Another Path as he revisits movies and tweaks them up a little bit. Also, he's our dungeon master. Case also helps us with the scruffy nerf herders and guides us on our ridiculous journeys, especially this last episode.
Boy, you and Case went whole hog on this last one, man.
Yeah, and I didn't even really mean to. I started, and I was like, this should be a one-time joke, but then it just kept rolling. And that's not where I wanted it to come. I mean, we went to interesting places.
Yeah. I was excited about it. I got to be honest with you. I was thrilled because somebody in the group was doing something just completely offensive.
Right, and it wasn't you.
And it wasn't me. And I was just like sitting back just enjoying it like, finally, the fruition of my work has come to pass.
Well, of course, that's our D20 RPG in the Star Wars universe. You can check out that on all of our podcasts on certainpov.com. Not only our podcasts are there, but also our streaming. Matt Storm does a little bit of streaming, but Ben actually does quite a bit of streaming lately. He's becoming a little bit of a game streamer right now.
Yeah, I'm actually taking it pretty seriously and trying to do a good job and trying to figure out what works and doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
What people want to see, don't want to see, and trying different games. Even games I don't necessarily like first-person shooter games, Destiny 2 or Overwatch. I've tried both of those.
Yeah.
I'm loving. I got to be honest with you. I'm really enjoying just the process of learning how to do it. And I don't have a huge following, so if you're looking for somebody to follow, hey, CPOV Ben on Facebook.
Yeah, you're already here.
Yeah.
You don't totally hate Ben. So
Or if you do, I'd love to hear from you. It's a great chance to just call me out in a public forum live. I don't have any moderators, so you're going to get through.
Yeah, that's right. You can check out all of that again on our website, certainpov.com. Today we're going to be talking about sort of a hodgepodge of stuff as we're nearing the end of the year. There's a couple things happening. In terms of Star Wars, well, let's actually start with streaming. You have so we've been streaming mostly some World of Warcraft stuff.
Right.
We're Blizzard gamers.
Fanboys, yeah.
Yeah, we're total fanboys there. So the bulk of our streaming is definitely in the World of Warcraft.
We have a guild.
Yeah,
and we have
Alliance
a whole group
side.
of people that we play with on multi nights. Wednesday is our traditional night, but we've started doing more stuff on Sunday nights as well.
Exactly.
And then, whenever we can fit it in. I've been trying to do some stuff Wednesday during the day and stuff. But, yeah, I mean, that's been a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But then with the Fun and Games guys, and because we are a Star Wars podcast, first and foremost, we were talking about Star Wars The Old Republic.
Which we were early adopters for Star Wars The Old Republic.
Yeah,
we both,
founders.
Yeah.
We were both founders on that. Like, we were there day one. We pre-ordered the game. We were there on day one.
Yeah.
And we played for a long time. And we loved that game.
Oh, yeah.
Love that game.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot to love.
Yeah. And there's a lot to dislike.
Yes.
Let's be fair. It has flaws.
Yeah.
It has flaws. It's not the WoW killer everybody hoped that it would be.
No.
In fact, it's just a WoW clone in a lot of ways. In its gameplay,
except for its storytelling, which is why
storytelling is the best MMO game experience I've ever had.
For the original launch version, that is. Afterwards, there's still some good storytelling. But
some of the expansions are really good.
Yeah, but really the strength of their storytelling lies in that 1 to 60 experience at launch.
Yes.
Because that's where you have the individualized stories. Everybody else's story just kind of comes together. Like you really aren't playing different. Like if you replay your other characters, you're
playing the same story.
Yeah, you're playing the same story. You can make different decisions, obviously, because this is the BioWare storytelling systems
in which they give you like 3 choices. Like they have like a whole a cutscene basically rendered, and then like dialogue, and then like you have 3 options of how to respond to different situations, and some will give you light side points or dark side points, or some will give you favoritism points for your companions that you bring along with you, or disapproval from them. And so like you get to make some really interesting choices along the way. But you're right, once you get past 60, everybody has that same story.
Right.
It stops being class specific.
Yeah.
Which is like the class specific storytelling is really fantastic. I understand why. I mean, like it's a resource issue. Like the game didn't continue to do as well as they hoped to be able to pour money into.
If they made enough money to because they put some crazy amount of money into this, especially the voice actors that they got for all of these. Like there's some really good actors that they brought in for these 1 to 60 stories. So I think they were really hoping on a bigger following to stick around. And I think this was also sort of the stage when there were a lot of people hopping from MMO to MMO. Like WoW wasn't necessarily on a decline, but it was.
People were looking for something else.
It had already hit its peak at that point,
Yeah.
and I think people were trying to replicate that feeling of that peak again.
And that success, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because around the same time, you had like Rift come out, you had Star Wars: The Old Republic come out, you had there was like 2 or 3 other like MMOs that were quote unquote WoW killers, at the time that like all came out within like a year or 2 of each other in that same time.
This was never billed as a WoW killer, but DC Universe Online also came out.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's some other stuff.
There are some other ones out there that have already closed shop.
Yeah.
That I've forgotten about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this game is really just the storytelling is so much fun, especially from and we talked about like a streaming perspective. It's so great because so often you have these cutscenes with dialogue, and you get to make interesting choices, and it's a great like learning tool for me, like as a streamer, to like, oh, okay, like I don't have to talk constantly, like, and I can get to react to the different characters that my characters are interacting with in different ways, and think about like, okay, how do I want to answer this question, and like, is this in character? So it's like it's a lot more role playing than you get from WoW, where it's just like, this is what you're on rails. You don't really have any choices to make until this expansion.
Yeah, and really,
and
so
only
far it's
one time you get to make a choice so far. You're not making a lot of choices in WoW. You're just kind of like fetching stuff.
Right.
But this one, like, you really feel like you're in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, and it changes the story.
Depending on what you choose. Yeah. And like right away, like you make those choices. Like early in the first like 10 levels, you're making decisions that impact things that happen later in the game.
Right.
That if you kill a character, you don't see them again. But if you let them live, they come back in different ways throughout the storytelling too.
Right.
So like you have to decide, like, okay, is this someone who's going to cause me more problems later, or like is this someone that I could possibly turn into an ally, or it's so much fun. So anyway, long story short, Matt and Jeff and some other friends from Reignite, we've been on Discord. Follow us on Discord. Jump on our Discord channel. Link in description below. And we were like, we should all just do a run-through of SWTOR again. All play a bunch of different classes and play together and stream it and talk about it and have fun. So we're starting to do that process where we've all decided we're going to play, like, get off of the initial planets that you'll all start on, because everybody will start off on different planets based on the class that they choose. And then we can meet up on the first, like, main planet and start playing together as a group. So we started that process. I've already leveled my character up through it, and then I leveled a second one.
Nice.
And I'll probably level a third and fourth this week.
Oh, God, I wish I had more energy, because I want to be playing that
Dude,
much.
it doesn't take long. Like, they've nerfed the experience level.
But I've barely been able to, like, I feel like I've barely even gotten into, like, getting past the launcher energy right now has been the thing for me.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even playing as much WoW as I'd like to right now. So,
I know.
So that's been the challenge for me. That means that I have already created my Jedi Sage, of course, healer. Since I love playing heals. Mm-hmm. I'm going. My character is her name is Nonprofit. So.
Well, I'll expect to take all your gold for you, all your credits for you.
Yeah, I just make sure to stay at 0 all the time.
You got to keep your balance right at operating costs.
Right.
Anything at the end of the session that you have access,
I gotta divide it up.
You gotta give it up to the rest of the group.
I like that. That's kind of fun.
I named my gunslinger Blind Al.
Yeah.
After the Deadpool character.
From Deadpool, yeah.
She's awesome. Nice. I made her a Mercala, so she's blind and she's got like these little shades on.
So did you resub?
Yes, I did, Addy.
So I did not.
I totally did. I was like, I'm all in.
I'm not ready to spend money on SWTOR yet.
Totally am.
No, I know you are. I know you are. I mean, I know you've always ached to come back to this game.
Yeah.
I am surprised at like, because I've resubbed at one point and came back and played. Like, I've resubbed at different times. And then I've also come back in the free-to-play version. Mm-hmm. And as I remember, the last time I played the free-to-play, like, preferred version, because I have paid money for stuff in the game, so I have a slightly better free-to-play version. They've taken a lot away from that tier.
Yes, they have.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. You don't get a lot anymore.
I can't, because I was going to create a blind, the Miraluka. Yeah. And, no, now I got to pay cartel points. I got to... I gotta
put some cash into the game to get
that. They are microtransactioning the hell out of that game.
Well, it's funny because we were talking about like when we wanted to start this whole process, and
we need a rush because we made
two of the guys were like, okay, well, like let's like talk about min-maxing and what classes work. I was like, what? Are you kidding? Like, I'm just trying to get into this game before they shut it the hell down. Like, this thing is on a crash course to just shutting servers.
They just released a new content patch, didn't they?
They're down to 2 North American servers. That's it. And they have 3 European servers, and that's it. They have an English-speaking one, a French one, and a German one. And they have 5 servers globally for this game at this point. When that game came out, it had like 20, 30 servers like WoW did, and they were packed. There's nobody playing this game anymore. Which, whatever. It is what it is. I mean, games have a natural
and
life.
MMOs are not quite as popular as they once were.
Yeah.
They definitely like this. They're definitely well past their heyday.
Yeah.
Which is why WoW still kind of stands out.
That it's still going and going pretty strong.
For
pretty shocking.
for an MMO especially. Yeah. And there are a couple others out there that we're not giving credit to. I know EVE Online is still out there, so and Guild Wars is still kicking. So
it does okay.
Yeah.
It's not crushing it, but it's
that
still...
was another game we went to as well.
There's things I really liked about Guild Wars. I loved the combat in Guild Wars, and I loved the world events that just kind of like happened.
Yeah,
while you're
very
questing.
organically.
Yeah, that was fun. I really liked that.
Yeah. You can of course follow those adventures with us. Ben will be streaming that, so make sure to check out Certain POV Ben on Facebook. You can find the link for that again on our website, certainpov.com. That'll be a great way to kind of hang out with us in our adventures.
If you want to play with us too, yeah, it's
right?
free to play.
Exactly, just create a character. Right now we're on Republic side just for for the moment.
If the game's still around, we may do Sith side.
Right? Yeah, I think the Sith Warrior and the Imperial Agent I still haven't. I have progressed with those stories. I think I'm further with the Agent than I am with the Warrior. But like everyone, like it's funny. Like the Trooper is my most played character.
Yeah,
and then there's my all the Sith. And then everyone else.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the Gunslinger.
Although Smuggler, actually, I did take pretty far.
The Smuggler's
in the 40s, so she's actually pretty far.
I'm enjoying her.
So
far.
Yeah, it's a fun class.
Fun story.
It's a fun fantasy.
It is a fun story.
And even the play style is very interesting and sort of very different, like a very interesting rogue-like character.
Yeah, without going stealth. Yeah, well, no, because the kind of like a rogue. The Agent is super rogue.
Yes.
Is because you're constantly going to stealth and stabbing people in the back and stuff like that. One was very, very stealthy. This one, I don't know how. There really isn't a more hunt. No, not hunter because you don't have pets.
You're just going like crazy. You just shoot
gun and everything in sight.
It's a very like
throwing bombs and thermal detonators.
Yeah, very burst damage. Very like you just balls to the wall. Like everything you've got, you throw it out there. It's not about like
finesse.
Yeah, there's no technique.
You're almost button mashing.
Yeah, although there were elements of that with the Trooper. Where like it was a shock and awe, but it felt like that with that fantasy of it, like it felt like appropriate.
And the same with the bounty hunter too.
Yeah, although the bounty hunter there's a little bit more technique with the bounty hunter, and I'm not. There's not technically. I think more in the player fantasy style more than in the spell rotation. Because in the spell rotation,
it's all the same. Everybody's the same.
Everybody is the same in this game. And you got knockbacks and knockdowns and stuns and all sorts of different stuff,
Slows
and then your damage over time spells, your
AoEs,
areas, exactly. So you've got a lot of really interesting mechanics to work with, and some that are reflected, and you can kind of see the design in it. But you do I do get that player fantasy with the gunslinger style smuggler. That's very much Han running through the halls of the Death Star, yelling and running into the
shooting
hangar.
and then just running back,
and then running back. Yeah, it feels a lot like that.
Yeah, it does.
So so that's a fun. I feel like that's a fun hook to play off of. From there, so in the gaming world, we'll kind of that's our kind of the rest all our Star Wars talk for today, but we're also going to talk about some of the other things that are going on, some movies and some of our other gaming adventures.
For a guy who doesn't have any time for gaming, you've had some movie time this week.
That's true. I had two movies. Yeah,
that's 2 more movies than I've seen in like a month and a half.
So yes,
maybe longer.
I do pay for the AMC version of Movie Pass. So I already feel like an obligation to go see movies. It's also much more passive of an activity. one, we had also planned to all
we
go
really
see
did. We totally did.
Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse together, and I was the last man standing.
Yeah, my mom's car broke down, and I
Yeah.
had to go help her with that.
Yeah.
And then J Mike'd us.
Right. So, I mean, whatever. Dude, I love the movie.
Everybody's raving about it.
It's so good. It's the best movie of the year as far as I'm concerned. And that's not just counting superhero movies either. So,
how many other movies did you see that weren't superhero movies this year?
That's a good point.
Nice try on making yourself look way more cultured than you really are.
Actually, no, because with MoviePass, I did actually see Sorry to Bother You.
Okay.
I can pull up my list. I saw Instant Family, saw The Grinch, I saw The Meg.
So yeah, you're
There's a lot of bad movies there, man.
you watched a lot of shit.
I slept through all but 5 minutes of Mission Impossible.
I hope those were the credits.
Murder on the Orient Express was good.
That was fun. That was fun. Was that this year?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
This year's had a lot of big movies. Saw Creed 2.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So, it's actually, that's pretty even with my superhero movie watching.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Because this year we've seen, Black Panther. We've got Infinity War. Then we have Solo, Deadpool 2, Venom, and now Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse.
Yeah.
And then Aquaman, both of which I got a chance to see. Obviously, Aquaman is not at full release right now.
Yeah.
But Amazon Prime did sort of hey,
here's a surprise.
Yeah, you can go see it a week early.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, why not?
I'm going to go see Aquaman because I promised Hans.
Yeah, you're going to do
that I would help. Yeah, that I'm going to guest host on his podcast. And
yeah, well, it's not a podcast yet. It's an upcoming podcast. But we're just doing a little prep
test
with him. Prep with him with our buddy Hans. So. Because I'll be doing the same with Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse.
Oh, you get the good one and I get the crap movie?
I mean, I'll trade. I have a lot of thoughts about Aquaman.
I bet you do.
And I can't really talk to anybody because nobody's seen it yet.
Well, that's what you get for going early.
Yeah,
There's a price to pay, Addy.
It is. It's a burden.
This is your cross to bear.
It's
But you liked. You said you liked it though.
Yeah, I did. Well, let's back up to talk about the really good one.
Okay.
Because Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, absolutely. Here's the thing: beyond just being the best movie of the year, I've been on an animation kick, big time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things that I'm I watch and I'm I really want to get more into this sort of sub industry, this medium of the movie or storytelling industry.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously audio drama is a big thing that's close to my heart. We love film, we love TV to begin with, but sort of animation as a medium is something that fascinates me so much. And there's so much I have to see to educate myself on and to really have a little bit more knowledge of the medium. So I'm right now, that's one of the things I'm super excited about really watching. There's a bunch of Miyazaki that I've put on my list to watch. There's a bunch of classic Disney that I've never seen, which I'm probably just going to wait until Disney Plus comes out and hope they've put the whole thing up on there.
I think that's wise.
Yeah, instead of trying to go seek it out and search it and try to buy or certain things like that. But I've always had a fascination. We've talked about different cartoons on this show. We talk about Rebels and Resistance and some of those Star Wars cartoons, and I've always gravitated to what that medium can do because of the freedom of what you can do there and sort of the impressionism of what you can do with animation, and that it still resonates as real characters and real story arcs for me. One of my top 3 moments in all of Star Wars is in Star Wars Rebels. It's really just amazing emotional moments. Honestly, if I had to list, probably come up with my top 10 Star Wars moments, I'd probably say 7 out of 10 of them are in animation.
Animation, yeah.
And I think that speaks to just the power of that medium. But some people, it's a medium where, you can do certain things minimally, but you can also do some really, really incredible things. You can really maximize what you do. And I had been already really excited about Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse from the first trailer, from hearing about it, because, Miles Morales is a character I wanted to see adapted. I like Peter Parker. I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man. But this is the definitive Spider-Man movie for me right now.
Okay.
I'm willing to say it's the best Spider-Man movie of all of them. Because it does, and that isn't a knock to the others, because Homecoming's great. Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield had issues, but I actually really like the first one.
Yeah.
Maguire is a great Spider-Man too. Like, there's a lot to really like about him, especially in 1 and 2. But this treats Spider-Man in a very interesting way. One, because you don't have just one Spider-Man. Miles Morales is your main Spider-Man, but you have a lot of different characters. I'm not going to get into spoiler territory because I want people to go and experience this movie, because it is an experience. But there's all sorts of stuff, like even the texture of the look has a little bit of that like old school, like the that old 6-color style for comic books, like the dots in the printing is a little sometimes more apparent than in others, but it is, that texture is there in the movie. And that's the other thing, like the texture and the depth of the 3D. I actually kind of want to go check out this movie in 3D to see what it does differently there, if it takes advantage of it in any different ways. Because I did watch this in 2D, which is like that's the way I prefer to see movies.
Yeah.
But there's so much, like it feels like they didn't leave any stone unturned in what they could do visually with the sound. I saw an interview where the directors Phil Lord and Chris Lord and Miller, the same guys who got fired off of Han Solo. They aren't the directors, but they're producers, very close to the project. The same guys who did the Lego movies and the 21-22 Jump Street, which are all movies that I really enjoy, because they're really good at moving from like really serious tones to really fun stuff, but their style is very improv based. And this movie took a lot longer to make than was intentionally planned. Like, they came back, like they brought the voice actors back so many times for completely different re-records, because they would rewrite and change stuff, which was part of the reason they didn't
work for Solo.
Exactly, which I can understand for a big budget live action movie. That style of storytelling or that creative process doesn't lend itself to that, where you spend so much money for everything you do.
Yeah.
For 21 Jump Street, that works because there is so much that you can improv within the limits of what they have. It's much lower budget. Even if you are working with big budget talent, it isn't...
And they weren't really.
Yeah, well, I don't know. John Hill and Channing Tatum aren't.
They're not. I mean, they're not A-list.
I guess you're right. Yeah, you're right. But still, like, here's the thing. Like, it's still...
The stakes are
It's still a live-action movie.
It's a live-action movie, but the stakes are a lot lower.
Budget's a lot lower. What they can do, they can improvise. They have more room to improvise in that kind of movie, as opposed to like trying to make any of these big budget action movies, superhero blockbusters. It just doesn't work with that, with the constraints that you have to deal with that. So while I would have loved to see what they've done with Han Solo, especially after this, because Han is a character that should be able to like run into the fun stuff, but then be able to handle serious stuff as well. Mm-hmm. So I want to know what their
vision was.
Yeah, what their vision was. That being said, I totally understand that it doesn't work for that. So I would love to see them like run into more animation from here on out. Not to say don't give them any, like, don't ever give them,
a live-action film.
Yeah, but...
This is clearly where they shine.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, this is a style, like, the look, the plot, everything that they did is the kind of thing that I want to see more superhero movies in this style. I want a whole Marvel Cinematic Animated Universe run by these guys. Of course I would take a DC one from them as well, because I am not on. I have long left the train of the DC animated universe. Those movies are not better and have now fallen to the quality of their
regular
theatrical live action movies as well.
Where it's starting the scales are starting to tip the other way. Where the live action movies are starting to get better, but the animated stuff is getting worse.
There's some weird decisions there, and I've felt that way for a lot longer than I think most people have, because for a while they were the best things that DC were putting out, and there's some great stuff. There's some amazing content that they've put out. That's not to knock that, But man, like this, like I would love to see a Daredevil story done in this style. You know, I'd love to see Iron Man in this style. You know, I think some of the stuff that you aren't able to do internally with a Hulk movie in live action very well, you could really bring that out in this format. Because I think it accentuates that in a really interesting way. Because it is sort of a live action comic. It's a live comic book.
Yeah.
In a
It's
very
a moving.
way.
It's a moving comic book.
Yeah, you know, the way like they'll pop up a thought bubble if you need to for here and there, and like it does just enough to reinforce that, and then like let you move on from that moment. It's so good. I'm so honestly. I hope I'm not overselling it.
You've been high on it since you saw it.
Yeah.
Like, you saw
and I was excited going into it. I didn't lower my expectations.
Yeah.
I maintained fairly high standards going into that. And that's one of those things that I do pretty regularly is, all right, I have high expectations for this movie. Let me make sure to lower it, so so that I just can't be disappointed, you know.
Because there's nothing worse than going to a movie and being disappointed.
Right.
Nothing. Not even divorce.
Yeah. But yeah, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse, absolutely worth your time to go see. That is a must-see movie. So.
All right. Well, do we have time yet tonight?
Right.
Let's wrap this up, Addy. You talked me into it.
Yeah.
All right, before we go, though, let's talk about the other movie you saw.
Yeah, Aquaman. Another one where I lowered my expectations going into it. And maybe that helped. Here's the thing. I can list every reason this movie doesn't work. And I can here, actually that's not the right way to approach it. I can list all the pros and cons of this movie, and it'll be just as many as a movie like Green Lantern or Venom. Like, not like those, to me, middle of the road superhero movies.
Yeah, not great, not the worst thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, but like, depending on how strong each of those points are, it's in that like gradient of like, oh yeah, this actually is pretty bad, you know.
Right. Deserves another pass.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot of things in terms of its flaws, and this is not going to sound like a compliment, that remind me of Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
But I had a fun time the entire way through.
Right.
Like, I never felt bored.
Right.
I genuinely liked the characters. There was some awful dialogue, very maybe not quite up there with I hate sand. But
it's there.
Yeah, it's like it's in the same neighborhood at the very least. And you know, there's some, I actually think, and I think Attack of the Clones suffers from the same issue. Is this story moves all over the place. You're traveling to so many places.
Oh.
Which that hurt clones a lot. So that was the big reminder. I think that was the big connection there. And I think the other thing is, this movie tries to maybe do a little too much. I think they could have cut out some story and some characters, and it could have let certain elements breathe a little bit more, or expand on them a little bit more. Because there was some really cool stuff. Visual effects, this movie is completely hit or miss. There's some stuff that's just like, oh yeah, no, that's a green screen. Or then there's some moments, yeah, you're right. Or there's some moments where you're like, holy shit, that is a shark with lasers mounted to it. Or the seahorses that Dolph Lundgren is riding. Like, it's just like there's some really cool stuff. Like,
right.
And there's also goofy, like it's such a weird movie. But
it's fun.
Yeah, but like Momoa is great as Aquaman.
Right.
He really is.
Momoa is so enjoyable.
But what's funny is they toned down Aquabro.
Yeah.
Like, he's not doing, like, he is Jason Momoa, so you can't take the bro out of him
completely.
But he's a little bit, like, there's a lot more reluctant hero in this one than what we saw in Justice League. And like, I like his arc was, like, the payoff was good enough. You know, I like Jango Fett as his dad. You know, Nicole Kidman was a little weird as his mother.
I don't like Nicole Kidman.
No, I know you don't.
I don't find her enjoyable.
Yeah, it was just
She's a very attractive woman, but I don't like her as an actress. There's only one movie I really like that she's in, and that's Moulin Rouge, and I like that movie despite her.
Yeah. Which is funny, because she's a pretty major part of that movie.
She's a huge part of that movie, but I'm still like, Ewan McGregor is so great, and John Leguizamo is so great,
right.
And the idea is so great. Like, there's so many other things around that movie that are so great that I still like it despite her, because I really don't even like her in that movie.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because she was married to Tom Cruise.
Yeah, if you've made that decision in life at one point.
Yeah, you're just not getting the job done for me anymore.
That's fair. That's a fair
reason I don't like Katie Holmes either.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about Katie Holmes, where I'm just like, there's nothing she does.
I don't remember the last time she worked.
She's in.
No, I mean the Batman Begins was the last thing I remember.
But she's in The Americans, which I don't watch.
No, she isn't. You're thinking Kerry Russell.
Oh, that is Kerry Russell.
Yeah.
I don't know what she's in. She's in stuff.
Yeah.
She's in things. She does stuff occasionally. Not a lot, which is good, because then I don't have to avoid her.
Right. Yeah. So let's see who else. Oh, Amber Heard as Mara is good.
Yeah.
She's good.
I heard she was pitching a movie with Gal Gadot. She wants to do a team up with Wonder Woman.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Yeah. Let's make that happen.
Amber Heard and Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
Yep. That'd be a fun movie.
That's a cool team up. I need a moment.
Yeah, that'd be a cool movie. That'd be a fun team up.
Well, especially if you focus in a little bit more on the mythical aspects. Mm-hmm. I think, like, because that's one of the things I actually really like. Again, like, I'm not going to give away any spoilers. Because the ride, like, even though
Aquaman lives under the water,
dude, you never know.
With DC, you're right. You just don't.
And there's some cool nods to, like, moments from comics.
Yeah.
I was really, really hoping, though, they would try to figure out a way to make a badass version of
him riding the dolphins.
Yeah,
with the little hand thing.
Yeah, I was hoping somehow they'd work that in.
That would have been so cool.
It would have been. I'm hoping they do that for the sequel.
Yeah. I need that.
Yeah, but there was, like, the world building, like, because they have, the seven kingdoms that are part of Atlantis, and the different things they had to do with them. Like, they have one of them that is more fish-like, and the sort of these different kingdoms that are being held together. Like that, there's some really cool stuff there from that world building and we know that the Atlanteans versus the Amazons is a big feud in the comics. I wonder if they would,
But again, like, going back to what you were saying about, like, the world building of Spider-Man, like, don't you think, like, that's the kind of thing that should be explored in an animation series?
Yeah. I feel, that's where I have my doubts that could work on a film.
Yeah.
Because I also don't want them to go to Flashpoint and do that whole thing of, like, here's, where, Flash did the thing, and then you have the Atlantis versus the Amazons. Like, I don't need that. I think But I do think the mystical aspects you can find an artifact that's important to both of them that puts them on a path to cross each other, and maybe at first, not necessarily a positive way, but in a way to kind of explore like
the tensions between the
tensions, and then find a way to unite them, type of thing. There's some story in there to work with there. So yeah, I'm all for that team up for sure. And I think it does lend itself to that. So, yeah, this does a good. The other thing I will say is also as much as the visual effects are hit or miss, cinematography is actually really cool in this movie. Like, there's a lot of moments where I'm like, wow, that's a really cool, well shot, or that's a really interesting composed shot. Like, I don't always get that in Marvel movies. I do sometimes here and there. The last time I actually really felt that in a movie, sorry to bother you this year, but in terms of big blockbuster, like The Last Jedi definitely had that. And that's one of those movies, like, you can stop on a bunch of different frames and it's like this amazingly composed shot. Like, there's so many cool moments you can just pause and, like, I would frame that.
Yeah.
And there's some really cool moments like that here in Aquaman as well that I'd say have that look. And then there's also like really interesting like camera movement. James Wan is there's a lot of energy to the way he shoots this movie, and that does a lot for this movie, I think. And I do think that makes it a little bit more interesting and more fun and a little different than what we've always seen. So that helps the action itself feel fun and refreshing without being like, okay, it's the same old, like, okay, he's punching him up, whatever. But yeah, it's worth seeing. I'd see, Into the Spiderverse over
first,
it. Yeah. If you've got to choose one or the other, and the other is something that'll have to wait until you see it at home, definitely Into the Spiderverse is the priority. But yeah, I'd watch Aquaman again. And I look forward to it too. So,
well, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
I will lower my expectations even further.
Yeah. So I think that's about it as far as what's going on with us right now, the big things.
One last thing I do want to talk about, Heroes of the Storm.
Oh, yeah, let's come back to gaming and Blizzard for a moment. So
this one's disappointing.
Yeah, Heroes of the Storm is a game that was close to our hearts. We had been playing it for a while on and off, and it was it was one of the games that we jumped to as we were sort of homeless in an MMO. Mm-hmm. We were just wandering the gaming landscape. And Here's the Storm, we settled there for a little bit.
Yeah, we were going to go pro. Well, you wanted us to go pro. Turns out, good thing we didn't.
Yeah, I know, right? That would have been a lot of wasted time. But it was very interesting, some of the analysis that I read about that.
For people who don't know what happened.
Yeah, so Here's the Storm. It's a MOBA game, a lot like League of Legends, Defense of the Ancients, or Dota. Those games, which is sort of like a scaled... It's sort of like a cross between real-time strategy game and an action RPG like Diablo. Yeah. Like those types of games.
5v5.
Right, 5v5.
There's a map,
and
objectives, and...
Yeah, exactly. So, Heroes of the Storm was really good at translating that from a less hard, to a much more casual gamer base. So basically, people like me and Ben. And because the technique of it, I tried League of Legends and I was awful. I just was not good at all in that game. I could never get to that move past that.
I think you just kept choosing the wrong classes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you should have gone healer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I do think like a healer.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like healing a lot. Actually, I'm going to complain about something in a minute.
Okay.
And because I think there's some dead weight in our group.
Oh no.
All of you.
Oh no.
No, I know.
Wow.
I know.
This is getting personal quick.
No, not at all. But coming back to Heroes of the Storm, that the game was had really appealed better to a more casual player base.
Yeah.
But Blizzard, having the StarCraft brand, having Overwatch, and even aspects of World of Warcraft,
and Diablo.
Well, Diablo didn't really have a pro gamer scene.
Right.
But those games had some, like, they were players in eSports.
Yeah.
So they had done quite a bit to make Heroes of the Storm an esport. They had poured quite a bit of development money into it. They hired some really good casters. They put a lot of production value into it. It was like, I had a lot of fun watching HGC and Heroes of the Storm.
I were addicted to it last year.
Yeah.
I mean, addicted to it.
Oh my god, if that notification would pop up on Facebook for me, like, I'd throw that up on the screen. But what the problem was, like, making that jump from casual to professional, that bridge didn't really exist. At least it wasn't there wasn't a clear path.
Right.
And I think it was apparent because, like, as much as I enjoyed watching pro heroes play, I could never understand it. I can never, like, look at it and say, okay, how can I implement this into my gameplay? I was never really able to.
Yeah, there were aspects of the metagame that I didn't understand.
Yeah, well, I didn't understand the metagame.
Yeah.
I could never really understand a draft. You know,
right, and how you counter and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like, I can understand little things and take little technique to get better, but like that I was able to I was able to improve, and then there was not much beyond that.
Yeah, I was able to pick up things about, you know, just from the casting, you know, and the pro leagues of, like, how to play different characters,
right,
and what I should be doing with different characters. But you're right, like the drafting aspect of it, team composition aspect of it.
Yeah, we never figured.
I never figured it out based on maps and stuff like that. There was a lot going on. There was actually, I think, this, and I was talking to Matt Storm about this, the core of this game, like, was so much more interesting to me than League of Legends or Dota.
Yeah.
Because you had multiple maps.
Exactly.
You had
different objectives
on maps, and you had, like, just as many interesting characters to play, and the way those characters interacted with each other was just as interesting as it was in League and Dota. And I've played both League and Dota.
Yeah.
And I much preferred Heroes of the Storm to it, because it wasn't nearly as repetitive. It wasn't nearly as toxic of a fan base.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the Heroes League. I loved HGC. I loved watching Dreadnought and Gilly cast games. I thought they were amazing. Amazing team up. They're better than some of the, like, pro NFL announced.
Oh, they're better than the Monday night team right now. I can tell you that for sure.
Right.
There's a lot, like, honestly, like, that made me interested in being a pro gamecaster. Like, after watching some of that, what they do, they
were so good.
Yeah, like,
Gillyweed and Dreadnought were fantastic. Fantastic team up. I hope that they find a way to work together again.
Yeah,
because their chemistry and their knowledge of esports is so good.
Yeah, I hope that.
I know Gilly's already got it landed somewhere, and I know Dread is doing some stuff. I forget what she's casting, that she's already landed somewhere, but
she was already, you know, a player in terms of streaming.
Yeah, so, they both are.
To get there, obviously, that's kind of the path you go.
Yeah, but yeah, so I you know, best of luck to both of those guys, because they deserve it so much. They're fantastic.
Yeah. I'll always and I'll continue to play Heroes of the Storm. Come back from here and there.
Do you think it's dead?
Yeah.
I mean, like, they moved a bunch of developers off of it to.
I don't think. I mean,
different areas.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily dead. I think the decision to make it a casual game does create a different tone. Because here's the thing, like, the money will still be spent for people who want to play that game.
Right.
I think, though, they need to find a different way to boost it. I honestly think the best thing they can do is figure out a licensing deal for characters. If they can, the best thing that they could do right now is I mean, they've got plenty of more. They don't need it. They've got full rights to characters in their own, in their own house, and there's so many characters they could bring in still. But if you want a shot to the arm of characters to pay for, like, make a licensing deal with, you know, with.
Well, they're owned by Activision, so you just go into the Activision catalog.
There's that too, but I was thinking of big franchise like a Marvel, DC, Star Wars, if I saw like Hans.
Yeah, but don't you think like if they were going to do that, they would have done that before they shut down HGC?
No, I think in a way that actually sometimes appeals a little bit more to a casual player base than it does to a pro, because the fact that they kept on adding so many characters like once a month, yes, they've decided it's slowed down a little bit. But this has been the longest gap since their last release. That doesn't take a lot. Like once they kind of kind of figure out, like, okay, how are we?
Paces.
Yeah, like League of Legends. How many characters do they have at this point?
Trillion.
Yeah, right.
But they come out with one every month too, though.
Yeah, I think they're just kind of now that they've made this sort of like the vision of saying we're a casual game, we're not an esport anymore. That philosophy does change how you approach character design.
Yeah.
And I think they were already kind of approaching it from like they kept on like catering to their casual fan base, which is fine. We're in that fan base.
Right.
And I'm happy that that's like
thank you for appealing to me.
Yeah, like I like seeing the new heroes they would come up with and what they would do, and if they were a little too, they were a little too designed for the pro game, I'd be less interested,
Yeah.
But like the fantasy of like running in his garage and flipping a dude over my back, like that's the fun stuff, like it's weird because like I should be all healer into this, but what's funny is with the new content in WoW, I've actually been really wanting to play some Heroes of the Storm and play as Tyrande again now that she's badass again.
Yeah, they finally made Malfurion and Tyrande badass in WoW,
and I think they did a little bit of a redesign with her as well in Heroes of the Storm fairly recent, so a while ago.
Because you had that owl build for a while where you would just destroy people.
Yeah.
If you could get off those shots.
But I played some Tyrande and I enjoyed her.
Too, yeah.
She's a really interesting healer, and I think they made her a little bit more of a healer. So like filling in that role again, like that seems like that's my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think the game is dead by any means. I think it's just a design, a philosophy shift, and this happens in games. WoW has had to deal with that, and WoW has endured.
Yeah.
And WoW had its had its peaks and its valleys. So maybe it's right now. Heroes going to hit a little bit of a valley right now, but I wouldn't count them out by any means. I wouldn't, and I would not say the game is dead. I mean, Blizzard knows how to revitalize their franchises. I think they love their story aspect. Here's the thing, like there's so many characters in the recent expansion that they could bring into this. I would love to see them do more maps based on some of the things that certain characters actually like. I would love for them to do an aspect like a Dragon Aspects map based on WoW instead of. I mean, they've already made Alex Straza a playable character who I love playing, but
again, healer.
Yeah, exactly. Although I actually play her as more of a damage build. But that being said, I think it would be really cool to have something with death. Like you capture a certain objective and Deathwing comes out and it totally changes the map and the way the map interacts.
Right.
But if you
capture
have
different aspects,
but if you capture Ysera, like there's a totally different like way the map plays now that you've got this nature imbued, or like maybe you just have like your whole team has sort of a nature buff or an earth buff or a magic buff based on the dragonflight that that you're who you've received a blessing from or something. I think there would be cool stuff like that. But there's so much they could do. You got the Loa right now going on with in Battle of Azeroth. Right now I'm just talking about WoW stuff,
right? Not even getting into StarCraft
or Diablo, or Overwatch. Like there's some really cool. They've already done really cool stuff with all of those, but there's plenty of room for more of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be excited about that. So, and I like at the end of the day, I've become more of a PV player versus player junkie.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I like the story. Like for WoW, I love the story. For all these games, I love the story. But
as far as gameplay goes,
yeah, I've really gravitated towards that team play, player versus player type of stuff. WoW.
Here we go. Here we go.
So the weekly quest this past week.
Yes.
By the time this comes out, the weekly quest would have changed. Was to win 4 battlegrounds.
How quickly did you do it? 4 games in a row. Yes, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it happened. We play Alliance.
Yeah.
Alliance isn't known for winning like that.
No, yeah, like
and even when
Blizzard
we're in the Horde,
Blizzard has said statistically,
yeah.
Horde wins more than.
So the night we tried playing together
It was awful.
Yeah, we couldn't pull a win together. I queued up for one more right after it. I got the win.
Yep.
I got a couple like hero moments for myself. I feel good hero moments like where I saved the flag because I ran in suicide, but I was able to stop them from capturing a flag
just long enough
for
respawn.
for to respawn and take it. And that was awesome because it was such a close match. There was another one, but then Saturday night I played a bunch in a row. 3 in a row again. We won. There was one that was like within like 4 points. We won.
Wow,
that was an insane one. But there was again. I had another great hero moment up on the lumber mill. You have this little cliff in the game, and there were 6 guys that were perfectly positioned for my typhoon.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
Oh, it was I felt so amazing. It was such a high for me to have them knocked off. I didn't kill any of them because they were able it's not high enough for that, but it was still enough to like save that point. Yeah. So we had some good moments. I think part of that so my frustration is when we queue together, we get owned.
We do. Badly.
Yeah.
Badly. Well, I think part of it is what ended up happening. This was my analysis afterwards. Okay.
Yeah.
Because both you and Mark queued as healers.
Yes.
And you stayed together.
Yes, instead of us
splitting up. We really needed to split those healers up and send one of you with some of the other people because
we had like
2 healers, like just both the only healers in the group are sitting together at this spot. Yeah, I mean we held those points.
Yeah, exactly. Because eventually in one of those matches I did run off.
Right, and then the tide started to turn a little bit.
So
we don't do it enough to be good at it and to have our strategies.
And I think the other thing is that I would also factor into that is my impact is much more noticeable when I'm just a healer running in. We both know this. You feel like a hero when you're a healer because nobody else is doing it.
Yeah, because nobody likes queuing the PGs as a healer. Yeah,
like there's a certain self-hating that you have to feel, like self-loathing that you have to queue up as a healer in these scenarios.
Because you're rarely doing anything that's really considered heroic.
Yeah.
Although you are.
You are, yeah.
Like you can, if you have a good healer on your team in PvP, you can single-handedly turn a match.
I got a couple compliments from people. So a couple guys, there was one guy who whispered to me, he's like, dude, holy crap, you're awesome healer. So I had that feel-good moment,
Yeah.
Because it was me and a bounce druid against 4 people, and I'm just throwing out every stop, and I just hit the right. I think here's the thing. I've also played so much more PvP than most of you guys in our group.
Yeah,
and so I have that a little bit more of the instinct of when to pop my PvP. Yeah, or when to let the stuns happen, or when to break out of them, or different techniques for doing stuff. How to really the things to respond to. I'm by no means a pro player when it comes to PvP.
Because we've tried.
Yeah, and I don't think I ever will be a pro.
You're way
PvP
too old.
Player. Yeah, right.
Your reflexes aren't what they used to be, Addy.
Nope. Yeah. Well, no.
They're just not. But I think you're right, and I think as our group plays more, and I think that's why I've enjoyed doing the world PvP because it's a great intro.
Yeah.
To that, and a fun way to intro into
Yeah.
that. And to get people more interested into the battlegrounds and the arena aspect when they realize, oh, PvP is fun. It's not just getting smashed. Yes, you're going to get
There's
smashed.
an aspect of it that you have to be able to take that abuse. To know that you're going to get killed again and again.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a hero, because if you're a healer, because they will target you.
Oh, yeah.
And they will focus you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to get used to that.
Yeah. But even so, like, you got to be able to take your lumps. And that can be really frustrating when you're used to PvE, and that doesn't happen in PvE very often, unless you're us doing a raid.
Yeah.
an old raid, then you get killed a lot. But
yeah,
you and I tend to gravitate towards the aspect of the game now that gets us killed a lot, and find great enjoyment in that.
Yeah,
everybody else is still kind of like, I thought we were supposed to get gear and achieves, and we're like, we died 77 times. How awesome was that?
Right. Yeah, I think our tolerance. Well, I think there's something a little bit more dynamic to the stuff that we're playing. It's weird because like I was such an achieve whore, and I've so like fallen off that. Like I'm not like there's something in the back of my head that's like, oh yeah, I do want to go work on these achieves, but like I'm also like, whatever.
Get them in an expansion or two and just face roll it by myself. I got a bunch of achieves last night.
Except I would agree with you. Except it's been several expansions,
and I'm not going back. And the only reason I went back and did something and get a bunch of achieves last night is because I was trying to unlock that new mount,
right?
The new secret mount, the Hive Mind.
Yeah,
and so
that looks cool, and that seems worth it.
Yeah, and especially for World PvP, that looks super worth it. I was thinking about that of like if you have a hunter leading that Hive Mind in two groups.
Well, let's explain what this Hive Mind is.
It is a mount that they have in the game now. It's a secret mount, and you've got to jump through hoops to get this stupid mount. Like, it is a pain in the butt to get this mount. You can't just buy it. You can't just find it. Like, you've got to do, like, 100 quests to get through this thing, and they're hard. Some of them are really hard. Like, I'll put a video up later. I'll have to show it to you tonight. And it took me and 3 other people an hour to solve this puzzle last night.
Yeah.
Of just like, okay, what's the next step? Okay, what's the next step? Okay, what's the next step? It's just an hour of that that I streamed. But at the end of this, you get a mount that seats 5 people, which is unheard of in World of Warcraft. There is no other option. And for each person on the mount that you originally grouped up with to get, because you got to go as a group to get this mount. You can't just get it by yourself right now.
You have to solve some puzzles together.
Yeah, and so you have a 5-man group. So every person that gets in there that's in that group joins that mount with you, you get an additional 10% speed bonus out in the open world, which is a big deal in World PvP. So you can just hunt people down so much faster than they can get away from you.
Tentacled jellyfish monsters.
It's just this brain with jellyfish tentacles, and it just comes flying over the hill. Everybody jumps out of it at the same time and just crushes people. It's horrifying in World PvP. So I was working on that last night with some of the members of the guild and trying to get that done. And I'm so excited about that, because if we get a hunter who can track humanoids, and then just go hunting,
a good
people.
hunter.
Looking at you, Gene. We got to get him to quit his job.
Right.
Really do. We get him fired. What can we do to get him fired? Like, this is for the good of humanity here. I know he's a nurse, but really,
other people could save lives.
Honest to God, really, he can't be that good of a nurse. He cannot possibly be as good of a nurse as he is a hunter.
I agree. He's an amazing hunter. He's my favorite hunter.
He really is.
Yeah. On that note, let's wrap it up. You can check out all of our podcasts again at certainpov.com. Really appreciate if you rate, review, and subscribe to those podcasts. But on whatever streaming platform, on Facebook or whatever, we'd really appreciate those reviews, particularly on iTunes. That's where it seems to be most important. Even if you don't listen on iTunes, we'd really appreciate that. The other thing is, you can also join the conversation with us, whether that's on our social media, but more importantly, on our Discord server. We would love for you guys to hang out on Discord with us, talk movies, talk nerdy, talk Star Wars, talk, with all of our podcasts are on one single Discord server, so you can hang out on the Reignite channel and talk Mass Effect. with Matt and MJ, but then you can talk fun and games with Matt and Jeff, and with everyone that's part of the whole Certain Point of View family. We're all in everyone's channels talking and hanging out. It is a blast. I'm loving.
Yeah, this was a good move.
I'm loving Discord.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, and we've got voice chat channels when we stream. That's what we use. So you're welcome to join us and hang out and chat up with us at any time. We'd love to talk. I mean, we're always willing to talk about nerd stuff. So
yeah.
All of that again, you can find that on our website, certainpov.com. Until next time, though, stay scruffy, my nerf herder.